Hey, my name is Matt, and I will be working through some project management, product design, data model design, ticket creation in Jira, ticket assignment, um, maybe some Figma design, some initial Figma concepts. I've been doing all those things for AmpLinks, and more specifically, the project module that we're pushing to wrap up and make some changes, additions to, as well as the price books. So we have this concept called a price book, um, and these price books are price book group is what we're calling it, and these price book groups have price book items in there. The purpose of creating a price book item is to maintain consistent pricing across your many different sales folks, sales personnel, and the estimates that they create. Right, salesperson A sends an estimate for um, the installation of a new piece of new air conditioner. Um, the price that they charge should be consistent with the price that salesperson B charges, right? Um, at a base level. For sales for customer A, for salesperson A, maybe that is a customer that you charge more to because there's more regulations and more paperwork and all that stuff. So you should be able to get in, specify that for that customer, that account, you want to increase the price by 10%. For customer B, maybe customer B is a relative or they work at the company that you're at. So they, receive like a 10% discount, right? So being able to maintain this like global price book value and then be able to customize it down to the specific customer is the gist of it. These price book items are used, as I said, for estimates. They're also used on the service side of the Amplic service module when technicians are out in the field and they are, what we need what we need them to track is the parts that or the materials that they've been using for the job. So they would get in and say, hey, I use this 10 by 2 by 20 filter price book item, right? So that they don't have to worry about pricing or costs. It just says, hey, I used one of these. And then from there, the the office staff or whoever is in charge of actually invoicing can look at a work order or a service call and say, okay, technician A, logged a this 10 by 2 by 20 filter price book item, right? We can see in our essentially our database that we're charging $20 for this filter with a markup of 20%, whatever that would be, um, for the final price, right? So um, invoicing. So yeah, that's pretty much the life cycle of a price book group, price book item. On the project side, everything feeds into this, right? So for a specific project, $1 million project, you could have 100 service calls with many different technicians. All of the numbers that are tracked on and the costs that are tracked on each of those service calls roll up into a project, right? So um, that will be part of this video. Yeah. So just getting in, like I said, doing a bunch of the project management, product management, assignment, design, all that stuff. Um, so yeah. Okay, so I have Figma here. I don't need to do that. Where am I? So Isaac's been working on a ton of designs. This for something else. Isaac's been working on a ton of designs, and for this, which has been very helpful in the many use cases. And we had a last minute addition or change, which was for a price book item. Um, we are now tracking a name for the price book item, which should have been clear from the start. I don't know why I didn't even think about that, but we're tracking all of these. We were tracking more fields, but we're tracking some of these fields for a price book item. This is what it actually looks like in its final version. So because we're now adding a name field, I need Isaac to get into all of our many tables and drop downs and make sure that there is a name column. So I assigned that to Isaac yesterday, and Isaac went through and did all the things. So I'm just going through and Isaac assigned them back to me, and which means I need to review them. Some of them I've given feedback to Isaac. Some of them are marked to the done category already. So yeah, with these big tickets, I've at least been within the past 6 months been creating a route epic for that, and then for the many different scenarios, use cases, I generally try to follow the similar flow where we have an epic, we have a single issue or task, and then this task has subtasks that are relevant. And typically the subtasks are the ones that have a dash design or a dash development. But as you can see up here, sometimes they sneak up and they're up here. But that's okay. What I probably should have done is do tracking maintenance items and PBIs on web, and then from within here put this design and this development ticket. But I just yeah, the rules are there, and I stick with them pretty consistently. But sometimes it doesn't make sense to, or I just didn't do it. Okay, so we got some more stuff. So like I said, maintenance items can be used when tracking expenses. We used to call tracking expenses service part, but now we call it track material expenses is the copy that we're using. That's these designs here, which I'll get to in a second. This one up here, add maintenance items. So you have a piece of equipment, right? So let's say I go to a work order. For this one, equipment. These equipment, this is their work order history, so the service history essentially. I can go to the equipment. I can have, this equipment would have many different components, right? So imagine this is a split system. A split system is common in like many like apartment homes and stuff, where this unit would be outside on the floor. I don't know if they're on the roof, but on the floor, probably on the roof. If you think about like New York City, right? You can't have anything on the floor. There's no floor outside. It's all sidewalks. So it would be, I think sometimes they're like caged in on the side of the building and all that stuff, or on the roof. But so this would be outside on the floor. So like Virginia somewhere, and then this would be inside the unit up on the corner in like a living room. You can have multiple for like a bedroom. Like I think when we were at Alexandria, Virginia, we had one in the living room, one in the bedroom, right? So this to replicate that split system, we would have a root split system, but then we would have three components: one for the item outside, one for the one in the living room, one for the bedroom air conditioner. Each of these individual components have their own maintenance items, right? Their own materials assigned to them. Yeah, I think this was crashing last time I tried it. Maybe I had bad data. Maybe the code is just not working. We just haven't got to that yet. I did something. Go back to here. This is where the maintenance items, are, like I said, are added to that component. And I wonder, it looks like it's just all of them. This maintenance items list is meant to increase the speed at which technicians or folks in the field can track material expenses, right? So what do I mean by that? If I go to this ticket, so select from existing PBIs, right? So PBIs are now the root of everything. PBIs, price book item. Price book items are the root of everything. Anytime we try to track a cost, that cost should originate from or be tied to a price book item, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind always with any of the costs, right? And the costs are labor and materials. Materials are these service parts that I was talking about. The technicians in the field, well, before the field, they go to the warehouse and they grab, 5 10 by 2 by 20, which I don't even know if the right dimensions, but filters from the warehouse. We want to be able to track that in our system. We're doing that through service parts or material expenses, and they do it on a per work order, on a per equipment basis, really more per service basis, which concept for another time. Select from existing previous, and then there's also labor, which I'll get to in a bit. So we'll come back to this maintenance items, so I can show you how it's used. Let me load up the mobile app here. Yarn Star 881. I'm gonna get up in here. I don't think I need web on this side. This might be the live app though. I don't know if I want this one. I'm gonna pause this 1 second. Okay, so I am. I just want to make sure. I was in. This is probably production, or yeah, just the live data. So I wanted to just make sure I was in dev. So I got that going. I'll show you how we use. I think I have the designs inside of Figma. Right. So we go to a piece of equipment, and the purpose of a maintenance item is to say, hey, when a technician is out in the field, they'll probably need these materials, right? So maintenance items also allow technicians to be like proactive, right? So when they're looking at a work order and a piece of equipment that they're going to perform service on, they can say that, okay, this equipment, it needs these breakers, it needs these filters, it needs these pipes, all of these materials. Let me make sure that I grab everything so that when I'm out in the field, I can react to whatever situation. Maybe I can't fix it today, but I can't fix it fully today because I have to order a new X, or I have to get confirmation for Y, but I can at least perform like a short-term solution that's going to carry us to wherever we need to get to. But I can't do that if I don't have the materials. A lot of times with these folks in the field, especially with your smaller teams, maybe even just for your smaller teams, where it's a 1 or 2 or 3 person business, they are going out and they don't do a lot of like ordering ahead. They'll go to a job site, assess the situation, and then have to go to like Home Depot or like a hardware store. Maybe they are typically proactive, and they go to X beforehand, the hardware store beforehand. They get all these things. When they get there, it actually is a different scenario than what their sales technician or salesperson said, or it's just a different situation. You thought you had something, so now you have to stop what you're doing, or send somebody, which costs money and time, to the hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, and get that stuff. Come on back. Then you have to switch back to that, and being as proactive as possible would be great. So maintenance items are a way for a technician, office staff and technicians to kind of sync up on what stuff that they do, and then when they're out in the field. Oh, I am gonna have to. This might take a little bit. I'm gonna have to do some cleaning of the packages and the cache and stuff like that. But we have work order service. Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah. So I'm at a work order, right? On this work order, it looks differently in the app now, but on a work order, we see that, okay, there are, at this location, there are 3 pieces of equipment that I'm working on. I haven't finished this. I finished this. This one I probably finished, but I have some recommendations. These are pretty outdated. General concept. I've worked on this, and the yellow it signifies that like there's some more work to be done or some recommendations that we can then upsell on, right? Because hey, we got here, we did what we needed to do, but it looks like there's more. Let me send this information off to my sales team as a lead, and then that lead is converted to an estimate. That estimate is sent and sold. That estimate is generates a proposal, which is sent to the customer. They accept that. We sell the project. We convert. We sell the estimate, the proposal, the job. We convert that job to a project, which has now budgets and everything for labor and different materials, and what we're calling task codes, which are essentially like different types of budgets. And then we can create service calls, work orders for that project, sending out technicians, and then tracking the costs and seeing how much budget we have left, right? So that's the whole flow of the things. Where was I going with that? When I click into one of these equipment, you'll see we have information, we have services, we have materials, and we have like an actions tab or a status. Information is just information. Information is actually down here. That's what I want to show you. But we see information about the general equipment, right? So if I go work orders, view the equipment, this information up here goes up here. The many different components go down here. And then we have the maintenance items. So these are the maintenance items for all of the components, right? So just a quick way for technicians to see the maintenance items, again, to be proactive. And then when they're actually using the things, we can, and I think this is definitely old, but now they can say, okay, these are the maintenance items. I grabbed 5 of these. I grabbed 5 of these. I grabbed 5 of these. So then we have now added 15 essentially material items that are associated to a price book item, which has a material cost, material price, so that when it comes time to invoice, we can say, okay, it cost us this, and we're going to charge the customer this. Oh, my back! Wow. So that is the concept. Yeah. So that's maintenance items, and that's also tracking material expenses. A quick way to track material expenses. We can also track the material expenses, which I think I could just show you the new designs for. Let me save this. I'll come back to this. Okay, so this is the item. That's the one that we're working on now. Okay, so when you are on a service, I have to go to Figma. When you're looking at a service, right? And a service is tied to a piece of equipment. Ideally, it's tied to to a specific equipment component, but we don't have that logic yet. But eventually, we will get to there, right? Because I want to be able to know what work was done. Remember the split system that I was talking about. I want to know what work was. I want to know the service history for this piece specifically and this piece specifically. Because a lot of times when we were having issues, they would come out and just work on this, right? So it would be great for the technician to know what was done on just this last time. What notes did the technician leave and all that stuff. Where's that going? Okay, yeah. So we click into that service. That service has the information. Then it has services, which is the work to be done, right? These are created typically by the admin staff or the office staff to say, hey, when the technician goes out there, this is typically what they need to do for a blank replacement, right? Here's the 20 things. The technician may not need to do all 20 checklist items, what we call it, but they'll fill out 10 or 20 of them, and then 10 or 15 of them, and then from there they can send a service report to the customer, say, hey, these are the things that I did for this piece of equipment. Here's the result. Materials is what we're about to talk about, and a little bit of the old way, but track the materials. This is the old UI. The new UI is when I go to track a material expense, I see the price book items, and we'll update this to have more information. We'll really just have the title and description actually, because the technicians shouldn't see anything about the cost. Um, um, when using a price book item. So we still need technicians. We need technicians. We need to give technicians the ability to add essentially like a new material expense um, from like the field, right? Because everyone might be as proactive as possible, adding maintenance items, making sure that we know, what equipment we're going into, so that we have all the things. But when you get there still might be something unexpected, right? You get there and it turns out that, yeah, I don't know, I'm just gonna make something up, but I'm not even gonna try to do that. So we do need a way for them to like track material expenses on the fly. We have track material expenses because what we need to do eventually as well, what we need to do eventually as what we'll do in the future is, which is I think it's the same scenario. What we'll do, which implies the future, and then in the future, etc. The long term plan is, what was I going to say? What was I about to say? Oh, is that we'll also be able to track like parking ticket, like not parking tickets, but like parking meters and stuff like that, gas, and all, whatever else is needed. But for now, we just have the description. But like I said, we also are going to need the name. So we'll add the name there. Which, okay, it looks like Isaac just did both. I probably said, hey, do title, do one for title, and do one for both. But it looks like the both. This is a really nice UI. So we'll do the both definitely. When sorry, I'm just thinking as I'm talking. When the user has selected a price book item, the only input we're going to show is quantity. Like, okay, you're saying you're using a price book item for materials. How much of that are you using? And that's it. But what we need is some more. So I'm going to actually create a video. Hey, what's going on? Forgot about this before, but what we need is, so for this design, instead of it saying select price book item, it would need to say like one of the titles, one of the names, right? So just a small thing, but it lets the developers know what needs to go in here. So you can update this model, that would be great. If no price book item is selected, so it looks like this drop down has this value, we should not show quantity, right? We need them to select a value from here before continuing. So that's when working with a price book item. What we need is another option that's at the bottom of the list, which says like track one-time expense, one-time material expense, track one-time expense, one-time material expense, track. So it says track up here. So one-time expense, one-time cost. Let's do add one-time cost. What this is going to do is kind of convert us back to this UI, but please clean this up. Like, look at the difference between this and this, right? Just, way cleaner. But we'll need to track the name, we'll need to track the quantity, and we'll need to track the cost. We will not have save material for later use. We won't have this button. We'll do cancel and save. We should, however, we do not want users to do this, right? Because what this means is that there is a cost that we're tracking that is not tied back into a price book item. We want everything to come from a price book item. So there was, if you remember, there was some work done on like an approval list, where like if a technician submits one of these one-time costs, admins would be able to see the Um, yeah, I guess we didn't do too much new designs, but admins would be able to see the list of maintenance list of materials that were tracked that don't have a price book item, and then they would be able to go and create a price book item, maybe even then attach those two. But we're just going to do away with that. If a technician creates a one-time cost in the field, then it's up to the admins to we're going to leave it up to the users, at least at this point, to recognize that there are these like one-offs, and then go and create a price book item, excuse me, for that there. So yeah, what we need is that additional like item. I forget what I said. Go back and look at that. Um, and when that is pressed, we show this, the name, quantity, and the cost with the new UI, with the new, the tighter and sharper UI. And then we don't want them to save because we're not doing the approval list, and we don't want technicians to just like add price like a million price book items themselves, because that would make for a really messy price book scenario. Because 10 by 2 by 20 filter, t- technician A is going to add that, technician B is going to add that. If they don't see it, maybe the data didn't load or something like that. So now we have two of the same plus the price book. Yeah, it's just not good. So um, um, I wonder if what we should do from the dev side. Okay, so we should add like a little like a note here for technicians, maybe like italics or something, like maybe not bold, maybe bold, I don't know, but it says something like, um, please make sure to contact your office personnel so that this one-time cost can be added as a price book item. Something like that, right? So just fit that in there, reduce the font size. I don't know about bold, but maybe do like I don't know if PS is better for apps, or if it's like note, or if it's just something like this. So yeah, please work on that. I had another thought. What was that? And I think from the dev side, what we'll do is like when, and let me just track. Let me just put this in here. Sorry. No, we shouldn't do this. Guys, this is going to be a one. We should have to designate who receives this email, and yeah, I guess we just don't do this. We should do something. Let me just write that. Make this information. I think that would just make the user experience a million times better. So, but we need the most minimal solution. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. Um, somehow. So we don't need this. Where was I going originally with this? I think I was just okay. I think I'm done with this the video for Isaac. So thanks. Let me know if you have any questions. So I don't know what I was doing with that. I was just, I think, getting in to talk about the differences. So I think I'm done with service parts, um, at least for you know for y'all. Okay, give me maybe I'll just stop there. This is 30 minutes. Okay, I'll stop there, and I'll be back in a couple minutes.